Hi there guys, I'm back. I've got my computer reformatted. Needed a new hard drive, so I've put a terabyte SSD hard drive in it. They're really cheap now, SSDs. I was really quite pleasantly surprised. £32 for a terabyte SSD for my laptop. Anyway, everything's back installed again and I'm up and running and doing my content. I've got a bit of catching up to do. I've booked this week off from work. I'm decorating, so it's actually quite relaxing. The better half is at work. She's doing an evening shift tonight, so I thought, you know, I've had a day of decorating, I'm going to sit down. I've got a bit of a can of the old Housey Father, and I thought I'd do a quick video for the channel about an album that I think desperately needs an official release, and that is, of course, if you've looked at the thumbnail, this is the Warsaw album. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a potted history about this. Back in the late 70s, before, I think it was before Joy Division was signed to Factory, they done some test recordings for RCA Records with the intention that it was going to be released as an album, and they recorded, let's give you the track listing. They recorded a number of tracks for it. All of This For You, or otherwise known as The Drawback, Leaders of Men, They Walked in Line, Failures, Novelty, No Love Lost, Transmission, Living in the Ice Age, Interzone, Warsaw and Shadow Play. They recorded these tracks for RCA Records in the late 70s, probably late 70, probably around about early 78, something like that. I'm not entirely sure of the timeline. Long story short, they didn't really like the production on the record, on the recordings, sorry. There was the use of synthesizers, and they didn't really like that. They were still sort of hardened punks, and they wanted the more gritty stuff. However, in the early 80s, some unscrupulous guy got the recordings and bootlegged it, and this is an original copy of the bootleg on RZM or RZM, the RZM label. Let me just show you the label, and it's actually the wrong way up. There you go. Original initial copies of this came with a free EP of John Peel sessions. This record, let me just show you the jacket. This is an original pressing from the early 80s. These go for a little bit. I mean, this was I rebought this obviously when I started recollecting vinyl, and I don't generally buy bootlegs, but there's certain albums, certain bands that I will make that exception. Joy Division's definitely one of them, because collecting Joy Division bootlegs is really interesting because there's so many out there. But anyway, there's the back of the jacket, and yeah, this was early 80s. This originally came with a 7-inch EP of John Peel sessions. Now, back in the day, I owned this. Fucking hell. It won't go back in. Won't go back in the thing. Right. There we go. Yeah, this was originally issued with a 4-track EP from John Peel Sessions as a bonus. It was called the Warsaw album for obvious reasons, and I bought my first copy of it in the early 80s, about 1983. I bought an orange vinyl version of it from a shop in London, and it came with a yellow vinyl EP, and I had that for, well, till I sold my record collection in the early 2000s. So yeah, and I used to listen to it quite a lot. However, there have been certain reissues of this album, and since I think legally, for copyright reasons, it can actually be pressed abroad in Europe without fear of any reprimand or anything like that from the guys in New Order or, you know, ex-Joy Division members. But yeah, so this was never very good quality, but it's really interesting. The version of No Love Lost on this, I think, hands down trounces over the version on the Ideal for Living EP, as does the version of Failures on this. It's absolutely stonking. All of the recordings, the versions on this, Transmission, Leaders of Men, Novelty, they're excellent. They're really, really good. And I've been banging on for years that they should reissue this officially. There's never been an official reissue. Now, a few years back, well, I'd say about 10, 15 years ago, it was reissued on CD with what they called a baby cover. And it was a marked improvement on the original vinyl issue. This suffers from phasing, it's badly mastered, it's a bootleg. It's not brilliant, but it does show you, you know, it does lift the lid on what there is, you know. So the baby cover came and went, and then around about 2018 there was a stirring Record Store Day website when they published this image on Record Store Day, on the Record Store Day website, and it clearly shows a release of the Warsaw album, but with a really nice, cool gatefold sleeve and everything. And literally weeks before Record Store Day, that was pulled. It was removed from the website and it wasn't released. There was talk that the company were going to release it anyway, but it's now transpired that it was a European company. It was probably the same company that released the baby cover, but they just wanted to get in on Record Store Day, so they pressed it as they were looking at pressing it as a vinyl release with a better cover. Around about that same time, DOL, I think they're a Russian company, came out with this. Now, this sounds so much better than this. This sounds really, really good. But at the time, this came out around about the time of Record Store Day, and these were being sold on eBay for like stupid money as the Record Store Day releases. And they weren't. These were totally different. I actually got this off Amazon. It's a bootleg. It's by DOL or Dole Records. There's the label. It sounds really, really good. But the nearest we've got to an official sanctioned release by the members of New Order is on the Heart and Soul CD box set. Those of you that haven't got this, this is the go-to. You can pick this up for 25, 30 quid, maybe a little bit more on Discogs. If you've not heard Joy Division, this is your go-to really. This gives you pretty much everything. You know, I don't dislike CDs, but yeah, it's a pretty good pack. You get a nice book in it and everything, but this features, I think, a couple of tracks off the Warsaw album. It's got the drawback on here, and the other one escapes me. The drawback, probably, I think it's Interzone as well, and possibly Shadow Play from the RCA record. They sound phenomenal on this. They've obviously been remastered for the CD. They are better than this. This has got quite a lot of bass in it. We won't talk about this. This sounds shit, although I love the cover. And I think if it ever gets an official release, they should release it with that cover. But this is, you know, gives you an indication of what an official release of the Warsaw album would be. What are your thoughts? Do you know much about the Warsaw album? If you do, make a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Should there be an official release of the Warsaw album on vinyl, maybe for Record Store Day? Would it sell? I think it would. I think it would sell in its droves. I think it would sell, and you know, the 12-inch of Ceremony and In a Lonely Place by Joy Division and New Order, the Record Store Day release that come out a few years back, that's going for stupid money now. Stupid money. There hasn't been many Joy Division Record Store Day releases, and I think they've obviously got access to the 2-track masters because they had to have access to them for this. That being the case, they should release it, and I think they should release it at the next Record Store Day. What are your thoughts? Have you got either of these releases? If you have, let me know what you think about a potential release. Should they release it? Should they remaster it? You know, I'm just thinking back to when I bought the where is it? Let me see. Where is it? No, ain't that? No. Ah, there it is. This come out for Record Store Day. This is the Idle for Living 12-inch. When I heard this for the first time, when I bought it, this blew me away. The mastering of it, it's just so fantastic. And I just sit there and think, good God, what could they do with this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll be coming back with a few vinyl finds videos coming up. Hawkwind, and I think we're going to be getting the Syd Barrett box set this month. Not sure when it's due to drop. I suspect they're shipping them from the United States, so I may not get mine until the latter part of this month, but as soon as I get it, you'll be the first to know. Anyway, hit like and subscribe, do all the usual stuff. It really helps my channel grow, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, bye bye.